Welcome to my basement. In this episode we will have a look at an old terminal. I got this from my father many years ago, but I haven't figured out what to use it for until now. So today we have something different. This is a computer terminal from Wyse Technology. It's the WY-30. This beauty was introduced in 1985 at the price of $399, which would be $1,200 today. Although that might seem a bit pricey, these were actually selling really well back in the day, in the mid-1980s. And the reason for that is that when they were introduced, they were a lot cheaper than the competition. But what is this? What is a terminal? Well, before the terminals we had teleprinters or teletype printers, which could interact with other teleprinters or computers. Basically you just send text and commands typing on a typewriter over the wire and could receive text and commands back. So in short, your screen was just a piece of paper. Then things evolved. The first terminal was made available in 1969. It was shown off already in 67, but not shipped until 1969. But that was the data point 3300. This is the Wyse 30, which was introduced to the market in 1985. So what is a terminal? A terminal is basically just a screen with a keyboard, but no real computing power on its own. That's sort of true, at least. It has some built-in configuration settings which you can set, and it's basically configuration for the screen and also for the communication with the computer you are hooking it up to. So the advert back in the day said that this WY-30 makes your system look and feel like $1,000,000 for $399. Flat screen, crisp 80-column display, touch tilt, and 41 programmable functions. When I started looking at the Wyse company for this video, I discovered that they're actually sort of still around. After this one they continued to make terminals for a while, but they never really left their field of expertise. They're not called monitors or terminals anymore, but thin clients. And maybe one of the best known thin clients still around is the Chrome OS laptops, which can do stuff on their own, but are fairly limited. So to unleash the full power it needs to connect to the cloud, or the new mainframe as I call it. The Wyse company was bought by Dell in 2012, and Dell is continuing to sell hardware and software with the Wyse branding. But yeah, enough about the history. Let's hook this up to power and see if it still works. And if it still works, let's try to figure out how we can use this one in 2024. And as we can see, it still actually works. It's a green nice color on black background. I was hoping for yellow, but yeah, it's better than just white on black at least. So I could not find the user guide for this one, not at the first go at least, but I found the maintenance manual, and it explains some stuff at least before it refers to the user guide. You're supposed to press the shift and setup key to get the setup, and here we are, and you can use the arrow keys down, baud rate 9600, yeah. So baud rate, and then you can change it with the spacebar to the setting you want, and as we could see it defaults to 9600, but it actually supports up to 38,400, which is nice. Let's keep it at that. And to leave that setup, you type shift setup again, and you are asked if you want to save the setting or not. I'm not going to save that. I will try to go with the default settings to avoid confusion, I guess. This is interesting. Compatible mode, it's set to WY-30, but you can TVI 910 plus. Well, I guess this monitor is sold a lot, so I'm hoping that Linux still supports this terminal mode. You can type ESC to get the default setting, enter to get the old setting, or yes or no. So let's try ESC. That did not work at all. Shift ESC, maybe. Shift ESC, that is. This is auto new line on, which is good because then it will wrap the text for you. Yeah. Repeat on means that whatever you type is repeated back to you, I think. But we will see when we get the computer hooked up. But yeah, the monitor actually still works, and you are able to change the connection settings. So next we will try to hook up a computer to it. And of course I have a Raspberry Pi for that. We just need to make some connectors first. So we have not sure how many pins there are, but 26 apparently. And I have a Null modem cable. Yep, it says so right there. And I have some breakout 9-pin DINs, which I think I need, maybe. And I have a old serial to USB cable, which I never thought I would have to use again. So that's nice. It's been used once before, but yeah, hoping this will do the trick. So yeah, this end goes into the Raspberry Pi, and this one goes into the Null modem cable. And when we're finished, there will be a lot of cables, which is slightly annoying. This was the shortest one they have, and I think it's 3 meters. Yep. So, okay, that's interesting. And this one doesn't fit into this one, right? So luckily there are a lot of pins that are not in use. So I should be able to snip this one and use one of these terminal blocks instead, and now I can insert that one, and I have the pin out. And I have to do some googling to figure out how to convert this one to this one. Luckily the numbers are printed on each pin, so that helps. So I decided to scrap the long Null modem cable because when I have to wire it up, I can just as well cross the wires myself. So yeah, that's the plan. Connect this one to this one, and off we go, hopefully. And it will be a lot less cables when I'm done. Not sure if you can see, but I found the pinout. If you go from a 9 pin to a 25 pin, on this side you will create a direct cable, and if you go on the other side, like for instance from 25 to 9, you will see the crossover pins. So yeah, the idea is to follow this diagram. So pin 3 goes to pin 3 on the 9 pin. Pin 2 goes to pin 2, pin 20 to pin 6, pin 7 to pin 5, pin 6 to pin 4, pin 4 to pin 8, and pin 5 to pin 7. And we hope that the marking on both this cable from 84 and this new one actually is the same, and they haven't changed the numbering. So this is a small trick I use. Instead of measuring in the holes in the 3D model, I just print these standoffs and glue them to the 3D printed box, and that way I am sure that it actually fits. Like that, for instance. So yeah, let's epoxy it in. Okay, so we are done. I mounted the Raspberry Pi 02 with Wi-Fi, I have the serial to USB and the terminal block to the 9-pin DIN connector. I haven't done much research on it, but the reason you should not connect the serial cable directly to your Raspberry Pi is because the Raspberry Pi uses 3.3 volt logic, while older equipment uses 5 volts. So yeah, it's safer to just use the USB to serial instead, and I had one in my collection from before, so why not? And if you think this looks a bit ugly, that can be sorted by putting on the lid. So yeah, and as you can see, I have decorated it as well, and the reason it now says fat on it is that this is the difference between a very thin client and a fat client. So yeah, let's mount it on the back of the terminal and see if it works. And as you can see, the contraption mounted nicely on the back of the terminal. So last night I had some fun with this setup, mostly visiting different BBSs like in the old times, and that's also probably the best use case for this setup in 2024. And also, if it wasn't for the fact that I already had this donated to me by my father when I was young, and I suddenly realized what I was sitting on, I probably would not have bought one just to connect to BBSs around the world. But once you have one, it's actually pretty cool. So yeah, there are some ASCII character mishaps here, and that's because I'm not getting pure ASCII from my Linux setup. And if you try to use apt-get or apt-install, you also get weird results. It works, but the output is not really helpful. But some stuff work, like Moon Buggy, so you can install that and have some fun. It's really intense action where you try to avoid all the holes in the road, and probably not going to run it for that long, but once you progress, the holes get bigger. So as I said, I tried some BBSs last night, and the one I found the most interesting with regards to messages and such was the level 29 one. Okay, so we are in. It's the official BBS of retrobattlestations.com, apparently. I'm connected at the 9600 BBS, and apparently I'm the 75th visitor today. So there are quite a few popping in. There are some ASCII errors. There are probably some escape characters to highlight some of the characters here, and that does not work. For instance, you can press N to read new messages, and the N is decorated somehow. So yeah, let's see if there's something going on. So yeah, nobody has responded to my message from last night, which is the Wyse WY-30, and it wasn't very interesting either. It was just saying that I'm testing my terminal from 1986, and it's a delight to read and write on. The screen is very nice, but also the keyboard is actually excellent. So yeah. Well, even though it's not very useful in 2024, the keyboard is really great to type on, and the screen is really nice to look at. It's crisp and green. If you want a dedicated setup for BBS, and or you want to play some text adventures, maybe this could be the setup for you. Otherwise, it's not very functional because it's not able to represent the content from the Linux terminal correctly. There are too many escape characters and such that are not supported, and the rendering fails. Well, it was a fun setup and a fun build. It was fun to play around with the BBS again, and also play around with Moon Patrol. We will end the video here. If you like content like this, please be sure to like and subscribe. I do hope to see you next time.